Well, hello there. This is Sue Kruppbauer, and I'm passionate about helping midlife, mid-career, 30 to 50-somethings build out a plan to achieve personal goals, professional goals, or just kind of get their act together. As a mentor for midlifers, my weekly musings are intended to provide, some gems that'll get you out of, that blah zone and moving forward to achieving your goals. So, grab a cup of something warm and lovely. My personal favorite is a hot latte. And let's chat, shall we? I don't know about you, but when my life-odometer flipped over to midlife, I felt like my entire world went to hell in a handbasket. It's like my life, my roles, my relationships, my career, my goals, and desires, they all became turned upside down and were in a constant flux as a woman navigating midlife. Now, don't get me wrong. Not everything changes when we approach or turn 50, but enough does for us to revisit all the things we've been taking for granted up to now. So this week, I'm speaking primarily for women in midlife, but believe me, this information isn't for women only. It can even be more useful for men. Part of the reason for the need to regroup in midlife is societal. Here's the script we were taught and that we all bought into. Get married, have kids in your 20s or early 30s, send them off into your 50s. Career-wise, midlife is a common time for change. Having been in the workforce or re-entering after a period of time, we often feel we're ready to tackle more responsibility and advancement, or switching jobs to something more meaningful, or finally jumping off the merry-go-round and starting our own business. And for plenty of midlife women in this chaotic economy and time of pandemic uncertainty or unexpected change in circumstances finds them. So, for one reason or another, we find ourselves completely discombobulated and on completely new ground, which can feel an awful lot like standing in quicksand. The kids are gone, or almost gone, or virtually gone, or maybe you just wish they were gone. If you work outside of the home, you're probably ready to slow down. Or maybe speed up and change lanes. And for many of us, that includes finally prioritizing find time to, find a partner, deepen or strengthen a marriage or a relationship you've already been taking for granted, or taking a very hard look at that relationship and deciding whether the good outweighs the bad enough to stick it out. And darn it all if it doesn't always seem that all these career and life changes all happen at once. Although some women are lucky enough to sail through this major transition period relatively intact, the vast majority of us find we need to readjust, reassess, regroup, recalibrate, redeem, reassemble, recreate our goals and assumptions about what our life's going to look like from here forward. But I'd like to use a different word for this process today instead. Let's call it midlife recombobulation. I love that image of creating a plan for the recombobulation of our discombobulated selves. It's finding a safe place or a tribe where, after you take everything apart, or it just falls apart, you get to put it all back together again, the way you want it to look now. For me, that's a perfect metaphor for what life is like for women when we reach a certain age. Not necessarily an age in life, but a stage in life, and that's midlife. Our midlife desires become more tuned into staying healthy and embracing new challenges, focusing on what we want, and, thanks to the dip in the hormone oxytocin in our brains that happens after menopause, we don't have the same strong compulsive need to fix everything and take care of everyone else but ourselves. Ladies, it's not in your heads. It's real. And it's why so many of the old rules just no longer apply, and why a lot of the basis for our old assumptions just no longer hold any water. What we thought in our 40s that we'd want in our 50s and 60s is often completely irrelevant to where you find yourself now. Great news! Research studies that come out of George Washington University found that our brain's information processing center doesn't reach its greatest potential until, somewhere between the ages of 60 and 80, which means that the best may just lie ahead of us. It's not unusual for women to reach their greatest level of creativity and problem-solving ability in midlife, and to find themselves happier and more satisfied than they were in their 20s, 30s, and, even early 40s. True, we're still the sandwich generation. That's caring for our aging parents while our kids are still at home, or, in increasing numbers, boomeranging back. Also true, we ourselves are aging, some gracefully, some not so much. We're the first generation in history where so many can expect to live to a very ripe old age. So, society isn't quite prepared to deal with us, and that can result in feelings of stuckness and frustration. But yet, at no stage of our lives have you and I and all the rest of us midlifers been more prepared to grapple with any hiccups that might arise. Once we hit midlife, we've acquired the skills and the knowledge and the wisdom to do almost anything we can envision. Many of us have more time on our hands and the means to steer our own ships. We can take comfort in knowing that, despite the challenges we've been through, loves, divorces, careers, kids, illnesses, death of parents, there's less to fear than there is to look forward to. That kind of came out funny. There's less to fear and more to look forward to. Unlike our mothers and grandmothers, midlife isn't an endpoint or a place to stop and rest on our laurels. It truly is a new beginning, or at least where it can be, if we align our internal and our external resources and proactively create our greatest encore career, business, or lifestyle ever. Remember, George Washington University says your brain is more prepared for this new stage of life than you might be giving it credit for. This isn't a time to sit back. It's time for your creative, amazing midlife recombobulation. So, if any of this message has resonated with you, I invite you to click on the link below to make an intentional step towards your very best encore yet. And I'll see you next Friday. Cheers.